Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. This is going to be my honest, full review of Rise of Skywalker, the third film in the J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson saga of Star Wars. I went and saw it this evening. I let a lot of you guys know on YouTube that I was going to see it, and I would do a review after. I plan on doing this review with my family, who I went to see the movie with. Shout out to Bob, who is my uncle. He's only a couple years older than me, his children, and my cousins, Maggie and Nick, and my brother-in-law, Joe. I really wanted to do a review of us all together. Maggie and Nick are in their teens. Maggie's in her late teens. Joe is the same age as me, a year younger. My uncle's only a couple years older than me. So we have every generation allotted there. We have huge Star Wars fans. Maggie and Nick grew up watching the prequels and have been open-minded to these films. Me being a huge fan of the originals, the books, the comics, huge fans, all of us. My uncle basically introduced me to these films, as well as The Thing, American Werewolf in London, a lot of this genre, Highlander, when I was just a kid. So we've been in this forever. Saw Empire in the movies, Jedi in the movies. I'm that old. Went and saw the re-releases in the 90s. Midnight launches for all of those. Midnight launches for Lord of the Rings, everything else. And then midnight launches for the prequels. We saw midnight launches for Force Awakens. Last Jedi we saw on opening night, and then this film tonight. So, why give you that context? Well, I am a huge fan. Huge sci-fi nerd from way back. I also write myself. I love dialogue. I love story. I love the writing. Character building, being invested in characters, where every character is a loss. There has to be chemistry with characters, even in sci-fi. Taking that, I'm not a huge nostalgia fan, meaning I don't need to see these characters brought back 30, 40 years later. Think Dark Fate Terminator. I did not need to see Sarah Connor brought back. You could have brought her back in 95, 98. 2000, 2001, 2004. I don't need to see that now. I rather see some writing to explain what happened to her. Let your mind fill it up. That's kind of where this prequel, sequel thing brought back so many years later can ruin things for us. For me, Force Awakens from J.J. Abrams was a huge disappointment. I like him as a director. Did not like that movie at all. Thought it was a very safe bet. Didn't do any real damage. I felt that the characters had no chemistry with each other. The writing was not good. Didn't think it was a really good-looking film. Very bland locations. But I thought it was a very safe bet. Out of the group of us that went to see that movie, we were all together tonight. I liked it the least. They tended to like that movie more. Last Jedi, I thought was absolutely terrible. Too much comedy, terrible writing, undoing the first film completely. And I thought it was unwatchable. And being a home theater person, I've bought movies that I didn't like all that much just for one or two great scenes, just to watch on the TV and play with the surround sound. I would never purchase that film. Never. I mean, I have Force Awakens on Blu-ray, and we barely ever watch it. But Last Jedi, no way. That breaks my heart to say that. But why I tell you that is that I don't dislike these films because they're not what I remember. I'm open. In the prequels, I was open to the change. Were they great movies? They weren't. I appreciate them more now for taking some chances, taking some risks, introducing some new characters, some new technology. The fighting with the lightsabers was much better in those films. They advanced that in those films. Where in these films, Force Awakens, everything went backwards. Power levels for the characters, skills with the lightsaber, everything backwards. I don't need the nostalgia. I don't need those characters brought back many, many years later. It's not necessary for me. Especially when you actually decimate characters that I've loved since I was a kid. So that's where nostalgia hurts me. This film, I went into with complete open mind. It's the experience with my family. We've done this for years. Going to this film, I didn't see any reviews, no Rotten Tomatoes, nothing on YouTube. I stayed completely away from it. I barely watched any of the trailers. I knew that Palpatine was back. There is going to be spoilers in this review. Palpatine's in the trailer. But here's the problem. I know why you're putting this stuff in. The second film was such a disaster that I know why you're doing certain things. That should never be something you think about when watching a film, is why the directors or the executives are doing what they're doing. And in a lot of films today, I see certain boxes checked. I know why they're doing that. And it takes me out of the story. Doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's, this is where you're taking the story. You're taking it here because that last movie failed and then Solo failed. So now we have to correct it. You change the second film, completely obliterating whatever little plot The Force Awakens set up. Now you have this third film with J.J. Abrams having to try to repair Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy's mess with the second film. And open mind, excited, food, some drinks, my family's around me, and I felt that it was an absolute mess from the very beginning to the end. Now, I read some of the comments on my community post that I was going to see it, that people loved it or they liked it. I really thought it was awful from every standpoint, from even the effects, kind of copy and paste, the ridiculous numbers of ships, the lightsaber battles, the how lazy the choreography is, the writing, atrocious. For me, this is just my opinion, guys, they backed the comedy way down, so less of that slapstick cutesy stuff that plagued the second film, which was just trying to be a Marvel film. Less cute cuddly characters, but the design, the writing, the story, just beyond lazy. It reminded me of a long fetch quest video game. Kind of like Last Jedi. You have to go to this casino planet. I have to go to this planet. Oh, here's this dagger. Oh, I have to go here. All these things that make you go here, go there. I won't spoil it completely because there are some things that I actually could even tell you and they wouldn't be spoilers because they're undone right away. If something's done to make me feel within 5 to 6 seconds or 5 minutes, it's undone. Making what just happened not matter. The characters have absolutely no chemistry with each other. I don't buy that they care about each other. I don't buy that they care about themselves. The mistreatment of characters like C-3PO throughout the film. But then you're trying to sell it to me that he cares about them. That Leia and Rey care about each other. You never gave that to me. You never built that. I need to see that. I need dialogue to represent that. None of that was done. The Kylo Ren Rey fight reminds me so much of Neo and Agent Smith from The Matrix. Okay, first film, that's great. I don't need to see it in every film over and over and over again. At least in Matrix, those fight scenes got more and more dramatic. These fight scenes, the choreography in these films are awful. Atrocious. I mean, off balance. Go back to watch even Revenge of the Sith or Phantom Menace. Even though those movies are not great, the choreography is incredible. The stance, the movement, the attention to detail. You think they have power. And these guys are falling all over the place. There's no balance. It's just lazy and it's boring. The force powers are boring. All of it, to me, was just boring. It dragged on and on and on for me. For me personally, there was really no redeeming parts of the film at all. As far as how the film looked, the effects, the Star Destroyers, they just look all exactly the same. The lighting, all the same. Same locales. If you're watching The Mandalorian, I've seen enough desert. Look back at even the prequels, the different beautiful planets. Lava planet, jungle planet, sea planet, whatever. There was always color. The drab palette that these films have used, boring and just unimaginative. Think back when Force Awakens, when she finds Luke on that planet. Was it Scotland? Where was it? It looked like it was anywhere. You know, is it in the UK? Where was it? It doesn't look like it is on another planet. I loved Rogue One. Solo was okay. These movies, they just don't have a soul for me. I don't feel anything, whether it's with Luke and how they absolutely annihilated that character for me. When you see those characters in these films, Leia, I mean, Carrie Fisher's not even alive. And it's hard to draw emotion. And I've watched her my whole life. It's this empty shell, which is what these movies to me are. Terminator. What makes something new. What's interesting is when the film ended, I know I'm all over the place. I've seen all these movies in the theater. The re-releases, everything. In every film, they clapped. In every one I've been to, even Phantom Menace, I think we were just so happy that Star Wars is back. There was at least somebody clapping. This movie filmed, finished, it was absolute silence. Silence in the restroom, silence in the lobby, silence in the mall, silence. It was silence. I've never seen anything like it. It was packed. We discussed it in the car on the way home, and we were a little bit back and forth. Some of us trying to be more optimistic than others. And if you know me in the channel, I'm a positive person. I try my best to not let fandom make me look at things as skewed. This is not a good movie for me. I didn't see anything, again, redeeming. There was a couple scenes that took some emotion, but I won't tell you. There were just a second. The plot holes, but it was so clear you were doing this to get here, to get there, to get here, to get there. So it was laborious. To sit in that theater, I felt like I was doing pull-ups. I was just exhausted just watching it. I hate to say it. I want to say that it looked great. It sounded amazing. When you're seeing it in the IMAX theater, there was nothing to it for me. And I give JJ credit for trying to do, JJ Abrams, what he did. But when you're trying to clean up a mess, adding more mess doesn't help. You're in your third act, and you're trying to do backstory on some of your main characters in your third film. In your third film, everyone should be established, right? I mean, everything should be finishing. You're adding new characters. And it's the kind of film, too, where it's convenience. You turn around, oh, here's this. Oh, I needed this. Oh, here's the ship. Oh, I needed that. It's eye-rolling. They're just, oh, they're going to be fine. Oh, it's going to be fine. You know, that's there's just no dread. There's no worry. The convenience of, oh, there just happens to be this person. And this whole universe, Star Wars universe is so small. Oh, I know you. I don't bump into people I went to high school with during the day. It's redundant. It's boring, and it was boring. If there's anything, these action sci-fi films can't be boring. The space battles, boring. Boring. It was just, to me, it was boring. The lightsaber battles went on and on and on, and they were boring. How many times are these two going to face off with the same result every time? Rey's character does have some struggle in this film. It's not just all easy for her, but I can't tell if it's her or the other cast. Star Wars has a way of making great actors terrible. Hayden Christensen from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith was actually a very good actor. Not in those films. Ewan McGregor's a great actor. Not in those films. The dialogue was that bad. The actor that plays Poe, who I completely forgot his name, Ex Machina, Drive, this guy he's so talented. He's so diverse in every film that he's in. He can play any nationality. He's funny. He's dark. He's scary. He's menacing. No presence in this film. Hey, buddy. Hey, pal. Hey. Ridiculous. I mean, really neutering his skills at all. All he could do was just no range. Action boring. Just boring. Terrible writing. Hold on one second. Also, when you're bringing back in characters such as Palpatine, I know why you're bringing him back. You kind of can sense that that wasn't the design that J.J. Abrams had in the first film. Whether it's Snoke or this character. When you make decisions like that, you render your first two films, especially Force Awakens, not worth watching again. Now you try to explain some of that here, but it's still vague. Still vague. Rendering the other films before it, useless. No reason to watch them. This film, I had a hard time staying awake. It's not because it was late. My cousin Maggie and I were watching it, and Nick was to my left, so I'm with the teenagers. I'm the old guy with the teenagers, and they were eye-rolling. This film is for them, their age, and then we're the older crew. And again, not needing nostalgia. I don't want the films to be the way they were. Change it. Give me something new, something different. Set it 1,000 years away. Mandalorian, it's a good show. I don't think it's amazing. I like it, like the way it looks. But I want original content. I want original films, original stories. And I couldn't wait for this film to end. Here I am with my family, people that I love dearly, doing what I love the most is going to the movies, and I could not wait for this film to end. And I hate saying that. You guys know I'm not a negative person. I really, really struggled with this film. Was it better than Last Jedi? I thought it was better, but that's not saying a lot at all. It's not saying much at all. Just the writing, the dialogue, the explanations just weren't there. The convenience factor, the fetch quests of very boring video games is what this felt like to me. Go to point A, get something, come back, save your game, go to point B, come back, save your game is exactly how this film felt to me. Again, not a good-looking film, a bland film. I did like the Emperor, did like Palpatine being back, just because I liked seeing him, but I didn't feel much. I knew why he was there. And that's really all I can say about the film. I mean, nobody that I saw it with liked it. I would say you have hardcore Star Wars fans that liked it better than Last Jedi, which I thought was atrocious. So I can't recommend seeing it. I think you have to see it if you've invested time in it. I'll never see it again. I have no desire to watch it again. I watched Last Jedi again just to see this, and I really struggled to get through it. And I've watched plenty of bad movies again just for nice scenes, and there's nothing worth seeing again. I'll never want to see it again. Again, chemistry, characters, none. Emotions, none. I felt nothing. Nothing for the characters. I didn't buy their relationships. Even with Chewbacca and C-3PO, it all felt very just tagged together, and just, I didn't feel it. All tacked on. I didn't feel any emotion with those characters. And that's a shame. For those that say, go into this movie and turn off your mind, I get it. Sci-fi, things of that nature, I totally understand that. Not with these films. Not with so many books and 30-something years of content and writing. This is a mythology. You know, if you want to watch Game of Thrones and say turn your mind off, well, there's books. There's so much story. You can't, for me, I can't go in these and say it's a big, dumb superhero. I'll watch Deadpool and feel that way. Or even John Wick. Not Star Wars. Too much mythology. If you want me to think it's a dumb, funny movie, then don't include anybody from the past and just start a whole new thing. That's my thoughts on Star Wars, Last Skywalker, Rise of the Skywalker, whatever it was. Thank you to Bobby, Joe, Maggie, and Nick for going to see it with me tonight. I'm sorry I don't have a better review to give you. I'm sorry it's so negative. I just really did not like the film. I thought it was not good at all. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Sorry for the negative attitude. It's just how I feel. I'm passionate about these films and these books. And let me know what you think in the comments if you saw it. If you're new to the channel, welcome to this channel. I'm Brian from Whisper Status 74. Have a great night. I will talk to you soon. Take care.